Hi there, I'm Logan Medish, and this is High Caliber History. Don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes. June 17th, 1775, Charlestown, Massachusetts, the Battle of Bunker Hill. In response to the shot heard round the world on April 19th, 1775, in Concord, Massachusetts, thousands of colonial militiamen descended upon Boston and eventually bottled up the British within the city. On that hot June morning in 1775, the British crossed Boston Harbor and attacked the American position on Breed's Hill, which history has erroneously remembered as Bunker Hill. It was there, while waiting for the attack, that Colonel William Prescott uttered those famous words, "Don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes." Except they weren't just words. They were an order, sensible and pragmatic, designed to enable the men under his command to most effectively use their limited resources. The 79 caliber projectiles, which weighed more than an ounce and a half, were devastating, but only if they hit someone. Waiting until the enemy was close enough that you could see the whites of their eyes would ensure that the rounds fired from their smoothbore muskets hit the intended targets. One soldier, Private John Simpson, failed to heed Prescott's orders. He fired his Dutch Type 3 smoothbore musket, resulting in a volley of British fire that was, thankfully, too far away to have been truly effective. With that one shot, Simpson opened the Battle of Bunker Hill and cemented his place in American history. When the battle ended, the British had taken the ground previously held by the Americans. In that sense, they were victorious, despite suffering more than double the casualties of the Americans. Prescott's orders and Simpson's failure to follow them were not without consequence, and I'm not simply referring to the British volley. Instead, Simpson was court-martialed for his actions. Now, the act was more a matter of procedure than punishment, as Simpson went on to serve admirably during the war, rising to the rank of major. Now, because no one knows who fired the shot heard round the world, it's impossible to know what gun fired it. Were that information to be known, then that gun, should it still exist, would certainly be the most important arm in all of American history. Instead, because we do know who fired the first shot at Bunker Hill, and because that gun does still exist, it's my opinion that John Simpson's 79 caliber Dutch Type 3 musket is the most important arm in all of American history. And amazingly enough, that gun is up for sale now for the first time in more than 2 centuries. It'll cross the auction block on Wednesday, October 23rd, 2019 at Morphy Auctions in Denver, Pennsylvania. As far back as the reign of Henry VIII, the British had been purchasing arms of one kind or another from what is now the Netherlands. They were inexpensive arms, often bought used, that were kept stored at the Tower of London, seen unfit for use by a proper British soldier. With the outbreak of the French and Indian War, however, these second-rate guns were perfect for use by second-rate inhabitants of the American colonies. And so it is with that older conflict, some 20 years before, that the story of John Simpson's musket likely begins in the American colonies. Dutch Type 3 muskets were often altered with barrel bands added by the salvage contractors when the muskets were shipped. Simpson's musket is one of those that was probably altered by those contractors, as the barrel retaining pins were removed, as well as the ramrod ferrules, and 4 brass bands were added during the period. The musket features a 40 3/8 inch tapered round smoothbore barrel inscribed number 696 on the top near the breech, and there is a bayonet lug on the bottom near the muzzle. It is equipped with the flat standard banana lock plate, and the walnut stock is of typical early Dutch form, with carved teardrops around the lock, the side plate, and the barrel tang. Even more impressive is that the musket is complete with its original matching numbered bayonet, also numbered 696, on the socket. It features a faceted double-edged blade 12 1/8 inches long with an overall length of 16 5/8 inches. Despite its age, the gun has survived remarkably well. The barrel and lock have an undisturbed heavy brown patina, and importantly, the lock is in its original flintlock configuration and hasn't been reconfigured from percussion alteration. The brass furniture has been partially polished and shows some marks from use and darker areas. The stock shows some scattered marks from use and light areas around the brass furniture from the polishing, but overall, it retains an original, undisturbed surface and is even complete with the original iron ramrod. The bayonet, too, retains a matching dark, heavy patina with some minor period nicks to the edge. Now, to come across a pre-revolution Dutch musket and bayonet in this condition is impressive enough, but to have it tied to such an important historic event in person is even better. Of course, none of that means anything without the proper provenance to back up the claims, and this musket's provenance is ironclad. Amazingly, the gun has been in the Simpson family for more than 2 centuries. John Simpson, who was the grandfather of Ulysses S. Grant and great-grandfather of Meriwether Lewis, passed it down to his son, Samuel Simpson Sr., who passed it to his grandson, Samuel Simpson Jr. The musket then went to the current owner's maternal great-grandfather, Charles Lyon Simpson. It was then given to his grandmother, then his mother, and then finally to him. The musket is accompanied by 2nd Lieutenant John Simpson's original commission dated March 13, 1778, from the state of New Hampshire. The appointment is in Captain Simon Martin's company in the battalion of troops raised within said state for the defense of the states of New England and New York, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Stephen Peabody, Esquire. It's signed by E. Thompson and M. Ware and has the pressed seal of New Hampshire. As if the familial chain of custody wasn't enough, the gun has also been featured in a variety of publications over the years, ranging from the Granite State Magazine, Volume 11 in 1906, to a 7-page article in U.S. Martial Arms Collector, as well as the Springfield Research Newsletter number 160 from September 2019. The amount of history oozing from this gun is unprecedented. Not only has it seen the elephant, it single-handedly sparked an elephant charge, resulting in the Battle of Bunker Hill. Now that it's up for sale, the new owner will be the first non-Simpson to own the musket in more than 240 years. Whether this new owner will be an individual or an institution won't be determined until the day of the auction, and even then, they may choose not to come forward. Regardless, this is a point where I need to borrow a line from the world's most famous professor of archaeology. Now, this isn't the Cross of Coronado, but I still side with Indiana Jones in saying,
"That belongs in a museum."
If you're interested in learning more about the musket or perhaps even placing a bid, I'll put a link to Morphe Auctions in the description below. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoy the channel and the content here and you think you've got even $1 worth of knowledge out of it, head on over to the Patreon page and become a patron there. We've got a bunch of different levels and some awesome swag that you can get as well. There's a link to it in the description. Thanks and have a great day.